Have you noticed that most losses do not destroy you all at once? They pull you in slowly. At first, you just bought the wrong course. Then somehow, you start blaming yourself for not being disciplined enough. At first, you just picked the wrong project. Then you spend every day finding new reasons to keep it alive. At first, you just bought a stock at the wrong price. Then that number becomes the one thing you do not want to see before you open your account. The painful part is not only that you are losing. The painful part is that you already know something is wrong, and you still cannot stop. That is the case we are looking at today. Why do you know you are losing, but still refuse to walk away? Let's start with a tiny example. You buy a movie ticket. It is not cheap. 20 minutes into the movie, you already know. This is bad. The story is messy. The pacing is slow. The person next to you keeps digging around in a snack bag. Your body already wants to leave. But then your brain says something very familiar. I already came all the way here. I already paid for the ticket. If I leave now, isn't that a waste? That sentence is powerful because it does not sound like an excuse. It sounds responsible. It sounds frugal. It sounds like the adult thing to do. But if you actually lay the numbers out, the math is wrong. The ticket money is already gone. Sitting there for another 2 hours will not bring the money back. The only thing you can still decide is whether the next 2 hours have to be miserable too. And yet, a lot of people stay. Not because the movie gets better, because leaving would force them to admit, I chose the wrong movie. That is the trap. We think we are respecting the money, but sometimes we are just doing jail time for money that is already gone. Psychologists call this the sunk cost fallacy. Do not let the term make it sound complicated. It simply means this. Some costs have already sunk. The money is spent. The time is gone. The energy has been used. The promise has already been made. Once those things cannot be recovered, they should not be the reason you keep going. But human beings are not built that cleanly. We get dragged around by what we already paid. In 1985, Hal Arkes and Catherine Bloomer wrote a famous paper about this. One of their examples was a ski trip. Imagine you pay $100 for one ski trip. Then, later, you pay $50 for another ski trip. The dates overlap, so you can only go on one. And here is the twist. You actually think the $50 trip will be more fun. If you only care about the future, the answer is obvious. Go on the trip, you will enjoy more. But many people choose the $100 trip, not because it is better, because it is more expensive. That $100 turns into a hand on their back, pushing them forward. Do not let me be wasted. That is what makes the experiment sting. It shows that we are not always bad at math. Sometimes we are using the wrong ledger. We should be calculating the future, but we keep calculating the past. We should be asking, which choice is better from here? Instead, we keep asking, what do I do about the money I already spent? But the money you already spent cannot be fixed. It has already sunk. The only thing you can still do is stop throwing new things after it. And once you see this, you start seeing it everywhere. You buy an expensive gym membership. You do not really want to go, but you force yourself to show up a few more times. Not because your body wants it, because the card is standing behind you, pushing. You buy an online course that does not fit you. You do not delete it. Not because you are really going to study it, because keeping it there lets you keep a small fantasy alive. One day, I will become the kind of person who finishes this. You build a project that is not working. The data is bad. Nobody is responding. But you keep saying maybe one more version. Not because the numbers suddenly look good, because you cannot stand the thought that all those late nights meant nothing. You buy a stock the story changes. The reason you bought it is no longer true, but you still wait for it to come back. Not because you are more confident, because selling would feel like pressing a button that says, "I was wrong." This is the most dangerous disguise of sunk cost. It does not say, "Please keep losing." It says, "Do not waste it. Keep going. You have already come this far." Those sentences sound healthy. They sound like discipline. But sometimes they are just echoes from the edge of a hole. If we go one layer deeper, the problem is not only money. Very often, what we cannot let go of is the idea that we were wrong. Losing money makes the account look bad. Being wrong makes us feel bad. It touches something more personal. Your pride, your self-image, the version of yourself you wanted to believe in. You have to admit that the excited version of you was a little naive. You have to admit that the marketing got to you. You have to admit that you made the opportunity look easier than it was. And that can hurt more than the money, especially if you already said it out loud. "I believe in this. I am going to build this. This time, I really know what I'm doing." Once you say those things, the decision starts sticking to you. It is no longer just a decision. It becomes part of the person you showed to other people. So later, when the data is bad, you start defending it. Just wait a little longer. Just adjust it one more time. Just put in a little more. Just give it another month. It feels like analysis. But a lot of the time, you are not analyzing the project. You are hiring a lawyer for your past self. In 1976, Barry Storr studied something called escalation of commitment. The idea is simple. Once people are involved in an earlier decision, they become more likely to double down on that decision later. Even when the outcome is bad, even when new evidence says the path is probably wrong, they keep going. Because they are not only protecting the project, they are protecting the person who made the original decision. You can see this inside companies all the time. At first, it is just an idea. Then there are meetings. Then a plan. Then a budget. Then a team works late. Then several people approve it. At some point, it is no longer just a project. It is a room full of faces. And the worse it performs, the harder it becomes for someone to be the first person to say, "Stop." Ordinary life works the same way. A relationship is clearly draining you. But you think, "We have been through so many years. A job has no future." But you think, "What about all the years I already put in? A side project has no feedback." But you think, "I bought the tools. I built the process. Stopping now feels like such a shame." Be careful with that word. Shame, waste, pity. Those words often sound like they are asking you to value what you have done. But sometimes they are just pushing you back into the same hole. There is another layer underneath all of this. Humans are very sensitive to losses. In 1979, Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky introduced prospect theory. One of its famous ideas is loss aversion. In plain language, losing $100 usually hurts more than gaining $100 feels good. So when a loss appears, your brain does not calmly hold a meeting. It sounds an alarm. Do not let me really lose this. That is why many people cannot hold their winners. The stock goes up a little. They sell quickly. They want to lock in the good feeling. But when something is down, suddenly they can hold forever. It drops a little. They do not sell. It drops more. Still no. Because as long as they do not sell, the pain can be pushed into the future. As long as they do not shut down the project, it is not really a failure. As long as they do not cancel the subscription, maybe they will use it someday. As long as they do not leave the relationship, maybe those years were not wasted. The brain is a very good storyteller. It can take, "I am afraid to stop," and turn it into, "I am being patient." It can take, "I do not want to admit I was wrong," and turn it into, "I am giving it one more chance." It can take, "I am trapped by the past," and turn it into, "I finish what I start." But reality does not get cheaper just because we rename it. The real cost of sunk cost is not the money you already lost. That money is already gone. The real cost is what you keep adding because you do not want to admit it is gone. The most expensive part of a bad course is not the tuition. It is all the evenings you keep spending on it while quietly blaming yourself for not being able to care. The most expensive part of a bad project is not the software or the tools. It is the extra 6 months you pour into it while better opportunities pass by. The most expensive part of a broken investment thesis is not the red number on the screen. It is the fact that your money is locked there when a better opportunity shows up. The most expensive part of a draining relationship is not the love you already gave. It is the future self you keep putting into it. So here is the real reversal. Stopping is not always waste. Sometimes continuing is the waste. Stopping only admits that the past cannot be recovered. Continuing can make the future pay for it too. People who are good with money do not avoid every bad purchase. That is impossible. They stop paying for the bad purchase once they see it clearly. Mature people are not people who never misjudge. Maturity is being able to say, "I was wrong. This ends here." That sentence is hard because it feels like reaching into the past and pulling yourself out of an old decision. So how do you know when it is time to stop? Do not ask, "I already spent so much. Would stopping be a loss?" That question is already poisoned. Ask this instead. If I saw this for the first time today, would I buy it? If I saw this project for the first time today, would I start it? If I met this choice for the first time today, would I still put my money, time, and energy into it? That question cuts the past away. Because you are not judging the past. You are deciding the future. If the answer is no, then part of you already knows the answer. Then ask an even sharper question. Am I making a better decision, or am I just trying to get back to even? Getting back to even sounds reasonable, but it often leads people into bad decisions. Because getting back to even is not really a decision goal. It is an emotional goal. You are not looking for the better path. You are looking for a way to feel like the old decision was not wrong. The market does not care whether you want to get back to even. The project does not care whether you feel unfinished. A relationship does not become right just because you have already given it a lot. Here is another question that works especially well when you are emotional. If this were happening to a friend, what would I tell them? We are very clear when we look at someone else's hole. If the course does not fit, stop forcing it. If the project has no feedback, shut it down. If the reason for the investment changed, stop pretending it did not. But when it is our own hole, suddenly we start studying whether the hole has long-term potential. So step outside yourself for a minute. Pretend it is your friend's story. If you would not tell your friend to keep jumping in, why are you leaving yourself there? And one more practical thing. Write the stopping rules before you start. Do not wait until you have already invested too much. By then, you may not be a judge anymore. You may be a defense attorney. So write it down early. If there is no real feedback after 3 months, stop. If it goes over budget, stop. If the numbers do not improve after several tries, stop. If it starts hurting your sleep, your cash flow, or your main work, stop. These rules are not a curse on the project. They are protection for you. Because once people get emotionally attached, every new mistake gets renamed. Let me try one more time. But your life is not protected by endless one more tries. It is protected by knowing when to stop. So, yes, on the surface, this episode is about sunk cost. But underneath, it is asking a much older question. Are you making decisions for your future? Or are you making excuses for your past? The money you already spent does not prove you should continue. The time you already invested does not prove the path is worth it. The things you already said do not force you to keep performing. Of course you can feel hurt. Of course you can feel disappointed. Of course you can feel unfinished. But do not mistake that feeling for direction. Unfinished is just an emotion. It cannot decide your future for you. Sometimes the most valuable thing is not persistence. Sometimes it is the ability to rescue yourself when you finally see that something is wrong. The most expensive thing in life is not making a bad choice. The most expensive thing is making a bad choice and then subscribing to it forever. So, if you already know something is not worth it, stop. Not because you are denying the past, because you are taking the rest of your life back.